Every secret begins with a choice to hide the truth, a choice to look away, a choice to pretend nothing is wrong. At first, the secret feels small, harmless, temporary, but secrets have a strange habit. They grow quietly, patiently, in darkness, and eventually, they begin controlling the people who created them. Dorian Gray was about to learn this lesson the hard way. The portrait remained hidden, locked away in the attic, far from curious eyes, far from servants, far from visitors, far from the world, but not far from Dorian. Because despite hiding it, he could not stop thinking about it. The portrait haunted him every morning. He wondered if it had changed. Every evening, he wondered what new truth it might reveal. And every night, the temptation became stronger. One evening, unable to resist any longer, Dorian climbed the attic stairs. The old wooden steps groaned beneath his feet. The air felt colder, heavier, as though the room itself carried a secret. He unlocked the door, entered, and immediately looked toward the portrait. Silence. Nothing moved. Nothing breathed. Yet Dorian felt watched. The painting stood exactly where he had left it, waiting, patient, silent, like a judge preparing to deliver a sentence. Slowly, he pulled away the cloth covering it, and there it was, his face, yet not his face. The beauty remained, but something else had appeared, a darkness around the eyes, a hardness in the expression, a corruption that did not exist in reality. The portrait had changed again, only slightly, but enough. Enough to prove the impossible was continuing. Enough to prove his soul was leaving marks behind. Dorian stared in horror and fascination, because fear and curiosity often walk together. For several minutes, he simply watched, studying every detail, every flaw, every sign of corruption. Then a disturbing realization entered his mind. The portrait knew everything, every selfish thought, every cruel action, every hidden desire. Nothing escaped it. Nothing could be hidden from it. The portrait had become a mirror, not of appearance, but of truth. Yet instead of changing his behavior, Dorian found himself becoming more reckless, because another realization quickly followed. The consequences belonged to the portrait, not him. His face remained perfect, untouched, unchanged. The world still admired him, still praised him, still envied him. No one could see what he was becoming. And when consequences disappear, temptation grows stronger. Weeks passed, then months. Dorian became one of the most admired young men in London. His beauty seemed almost supernatural. People talked about him endlessly. Women admired him. Men envied him. Artists wanted to paint him. Writers wanted to describe him. Everywhere he went, attention followed. And Dorian enjoyed every second of it. Because admiration can become addictive, especially when it never fades. At luxurious parties, Dorian listened carefully to Lord Henry. The older man continued filling his mind with dangerous ideas. Pleasure above morality, desire above responsibility, experience above wisdom. And slowly, Dorian accepted them all, not because he was forced, but because he wanted to. Because these ideas justified the life he wished to live. and human beings rarely reject beliefs that benefit them. But there was one person who remained concerned: Basil Hallward, the artist who had painted the portrait, the man who still remembered the innocent Dorian Gray. Whenever Basil visited, he sensed something changing, something invisible, something wrong. The young man before him looked exactly the same, yet somehow he felt different, colder, more distant, less human. One afternoon, Basil confronted him, gently, carefully, like a friend trying to help. "Dorian," he said, "I worry about you. I hear strange things. Rumors, stories, whispers. Nothing concrete, nothing proven, yet enough to create concern." Dorian smiled politely and changed the subject, because lies become easier once truth becomes dangerous. After Basil left, Dorian immediately returned to the attic. He needed reassurance, needed proof, needed to know the secret remained safe. Again, he uncovered the portrait, and again. He saw another change. The face had become more cunning, more calculating, more selfish. The transformation continued. Day after day, choice after choice, sin after sin. The portrait recorded everything, without mercy, without forgiveness, without error. For the first time, Dorian wondered how far the transformation could go. Could the portrait become monstrous? Could it eventually stop resembling him entirely? Could the soul truly become visible? The questions frightened him, yet strangely, they also excited him. Because curiosity is dangerous when morality disappears. Years earlier, such thoughts would have horrified him. Now, they fascinated him, and that frightened the portrait more than anything. Not the sins, not the lies, not the selfishness, but the fact that Dorian was beginning to enjoy his own corruption. The attic became a sanctuary, a confession room, a prison, a mirror. Every few days, Dorian returned, checking the portrait, watching its evolution, studying his soul as though it were a scientific experiment. And every visit changed him further, because the more corruption he witnessed, the less he feared it. One night, standing before the portrait, Dorian finally accepted a terrible truth. The portrait would continue carrying his burden, and he would continue enjoying freedom. The arrangement was simple. The portrait would suffer. Dorian would not. The portrait would age. Dorian would not. The portrait would become ugly. Dorian would remain beautiful. And for the first time, he stopped fighting the temptation completely. That moment changed everything, because evil rarely begins with action. It begins with permission. The moment we stop resisting, the moment we stop caring, the moment we tell ourselves, it doesn't matter. And standing in that attic, surrounded by darkness, Dorian Gray gave himself permission. The secret remained hidden. The portrait remained locked away, and the world continued admiring the beautiful young man they believed they knew. But behind a closed attic door, another face was waiting, a face that grew darker with every passing day, a face that knew the truth. And one day, that truth would demand to be seen. In Chapter 5, Dorian Gray will fully embrace a life of pleasure and temptation. New experiences, new obsessions, new sins. And as his reputation begins to darken, the portrait will begin transforming into something truly horrifying. Because some secrets grow stronger in darkness, and some monsters are created one choice at a time. You have been listening to The Picture of Dorian Gray, Chapter 4, The Portrait's Secret, and here at Noyar, we explore stories of beauty, obsession, human nature, and the darkness hidden beneath perfect appearances. Join us for Chapter 5, because Dorian's descent has only just begun. Until next time, good night.